Welcome back to Making Money Matter, ladies and gentlemen. Kerry Stevenson, your host today. I'm bringing you something that I think you're going to like because this is one story that was brought to me by my good friend, Jeff Phillips. Jeff likes the story, so when he likes the story, I sit up and pay attention. I've asked Scott Emerson, he's the CEO of Kingsmen Resources. Now, they are listed on the TSXV under the ticker code KNG. Now, for those of you that think, oh, no, it's on the TSX, no, it's easy. Go to Interactive Brokers. You can buy your shares through that way if you're based in Australia. For those of you in North America, easy peasy for you guys. It's a
And
gold.
we're also,
Yeah.
sorry, Kerry, we're also listed on the OTC
Ah,
uh,
there you go.
under the KNGRF, and we're also listed in Frankfurt under TUY. So lots of
Look at that.
access.
Lots of opportunities there. Um, so thanks for bringing that up. I really want to talk to you today, Scott, about where you're going with this project. It's two of my favorite commodities, silver and gold. But first of all, welcome to Making Money Matter, first time on the program.
Thank you.
And I want to start by asking you about your background, because I always say to people, one of the first things you should be looking at is who's in charge of the project and what have they done before?
So my background, Kerry, is I've been in the mineral industry for the past 40 years. I was
Or
part of a
zero.
4-0. I'm old.
He doesn't.
Um, I was part of a company called International Mahogany. And we had a discovery in northern Saskatchewan, Canada, which became the Jolu gold mine. So we actually discovered. We then joint ventured with a company that you may remember from back in the day called Homestake.
Oh, yeah.
They became our partner.
Wow.
They actually built the mine. They operated the mine. It was a high grade underground gold deposit that operated for 3.5 years. And at that point, we had run out of ore. So then it was shut down. I then took a subsidiary of International Mahogany, which was called Golden Peaks, and I operated in Argentina for 18 years. So it was a company I started out on the VSE, so we'll call it the Vancouver Stock Exchange, that I graduated to the Toronto Stock Exchange and then sold my position in 2011. So that's my background. I like what you say because a lot of these junior market companies, it's about management. What have they done, and what have they, built or demonstrated to the market? So 2011, I essentially sat on the sidelines. It was a difficult time in this space. I was more of an investor than anything else. And then during COVID, there was a lot of talk about a commodity cycle, a resurgence in interest. And at that point, I took on what we would call a shell company in Canada. And when the borders opened post-COVID, I immediately, with my project geologist, VP of exploration, went to Mexico and started to evaluate projects. So we spent the better part of 4.5 months in northern Mexico in the state of Chihuahua. That's where our focus was.
Did you say during COVID or post COVID?
No, post-COVID.
Okay, I was going to
So
say, how the heck did you get to
yeah,
Mexico?
no. I didn't cross the border.
um,
Uh,
why Mexico? Because I want to talk
so
about Mexico as a jurisdiction because a lot of my listeners would probably go, oh, Mexico.
Well, I think for me, selfishly, it was having operated in Argentina for that length of time. There's a heavy amount of travel,
Hmm.
and especially fly to Buenos Aires, you fly to Chubut. Anyway, I'm going because I'm telling you my age, but there was a lot of travel involved. So then there was, as I watched the markets, the interest in the markets kind of come back. I was like, well, let's see. I can get to Mexico in a day. I
Okay.
can be on the project in a day in this particular case. So that was attractive to me because I like to be hands-on. I like to be in the field. Um, so there was that part, and then you can talk about Mexico as a country. I think it's a great jurisdiction when you're looking for silver, third largest in the world.
Okay.
Um, we I felt comfortable being there and that I knew other individuals in the space, like GoGold, Silver Tiger, people that I had relationships with that had operated and said, Scott, there's a lot of opportunity here because pre-COVID, a lot of companies left Mexico. They
Why?
didn't like, well, they didn't like the old administration, number one, because
Okay.
there was a ban on open pit mining. The current administration wasn't allowing any new staking, which they still don't do to this day. You have to buy existing claims, and that's what we did.
Okay.
And then, put COVID on top of that, Carrie, and everybody was like, well, we're just going to leave. So they left those projects. So it was, I'm not going to say it was easy because it wasn't, but there was a lot of opportunity that presented itself because of that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we talk about our first project, Las Coloradas, that I'm so excited about.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you spent about 4 months in Mexico
Yes.
assessing 11 projects.
Yes.
Talk to us about how you whittled it down to Los Coloradas and your other project.
So I had a I had a checklist that I used, and one of my biggest things on my checklist was I wanted a project that no junior had ever held.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a big ask. However, junior projects, and Carrie, you've been in the industry, a lot of them get recycled.
True.
Somebody will have had it. And then what happens is when you're presenting it, somebody will say, hold on, I know that project. It was a failure, or, they always have something to say about it. So my whole thing was, let's go. Let's go visit the projects, number one.
Mm.
So we did that. We sampled each of those projects that we visited. So gave us confidence in what we were looking at. We then looked at tenure. Who owns it? What's the life of the current claim? Because you have a 50-year lease in Mexico, some are 25.
Okay.
Where are they in that cycle? So then I looked at who else was there or who else was in the area. Then I started to assemble the land package. So I started with one claim. I then acquired 14 other claims. That took a year
Wow.
to surround it to build up the property package that Kingsman currently holds.
Was
I
it
know it's a lot, but
was it important for you to get that one and then get the 14 around it? Was that
it,
really the deal that had to happen because you had to build a district scale? Was that important?
that's extremely important. So where we started with an old past producing mine.
Okay.
That's the first claim holder we met. He said, "Oh, I own this old mine." So we went to the mine, we sampled the mine, we then looked at when it operated from 1944 to 1952 in this case. Well, why did they leave?
Exactly.
How big how big was the mine? So all those questions, that's a lot of coffee drinking and a lot of just talking because, oh, my grandpa knows, or oh, my uncle, he may know. And what that allowed me to do is to sit there and just slowly acquire all that information because other people had worked on it. You had, some major companies in the area, you had artisanal miners in the area, and that's what I did. And when I, met Jeff Phillips, I had the idea and I presented it, and he's like, come back to me when you got it all put together.
Right. Tough boy.
So fast forward a year, I went with all my maps and everything to PDAC, which is a big
Yep.
convention in Toronto, Canada, and laid it out and said, okay, I did what I said I was going to do. And during that time, I had spent my own money to do that,
Okay,
to,
that's
to,
really interesting.
to,
Okay.
to put it all together. So I was willing to, I saw something, opportunity that I was like, hey, there could be something here. And we'll get to that, Carrie. And I don't want to give your listeners, they'll get tired of hearing my voice. But I took that old mine, which was 300 meters long. I then acquired the land package that surrounds it to give me about 3 miles by 3 miles in terms of size. We then sampled it along the structures, and we can get into that because I would like to share a couple maps with you if possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want you to do that. But just before you share the map with us, because I think I love visual. Um, did you say that this was an operating mine between 1944 and 1952? Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
And nobody had done anything. You said you got it from this guy that said, "Oh, it's an old operating mine." What had he done with it? It was just an old piece.
So I think, Gary, what's easiest right now is, can I share something with you and your
Absolutely.
viewers?
We
Okay.
love sharing.
Let's do that. Can you see what I've put up there on the
Yes.
map?
Yep.
So just to give it some perspective here, this little line here is the Las Coloradas mine. So this
Got it.
is the 300 meters that I talked about with you.
Yep.
I'm just going to pull this in front. So you can see all these individual claim blocks that surround it. These are all individual claims.
Got it.
So back in 1952, when the lease ran out with ASARCO, which is Grupo de Mexico, all of a sudden this claim holder goes, well, my claim's worth X. This claim holder went, my claim's worth Y. This claim holder went, mine's worth whatever it is.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they could not get an agreement with these claim holders. That was, 1952, so 40 years ago. So this gentleman owned this gentleman owned that, and they weren't talking to anybody because, they had a mine and they had a mine. And,
Wow.
so what it allowed me to do is I started here, and then I went and started to approach each of these claim holders
And I
to
guess
get
were they getting older and fed up by that stage? Were they like, "Oh, we're done"?
it's funny you say that, Carrie, because a lot of it is third generation. So it's kids of kids,
Yeah. And they're
right?
not that interested.
There's a couple old timers that were in there as well. But that took a year. And then this one large claim was put around the entire area because you had different operators. Coeur was in here in this area, never drilled, but they had sampled and done some geophysics in this area. Kennecott had been up in this
Oh,
area.
okay.
So that's the gist of how I assembled this package and put this together.
Again, I'll go.
And
If I can go back to it and say, why this size? It looks like it's pretty substantial from where you started to what you now have. Was there
right, so
now
it,
behind that?
yeah, so your viewers are able to go on the website, but what we did is we started here with this 300 meters, and then we traced this structure for 1.4 kilometers. Then another structure that was identified called the Soledad, which we traced for 1.7 kilometers.
Okay.
That's why we were so interested in acquiring this entire package, because we had traced the mineralization along surface, and that mineralization was similar to what they had mined back in the day. And I'm going to share a cross section for your viewers. It's a simple picture, but it'll give them an idea of what was mined
Okay.
back in 1944 to 1952, because we were able to get those records.
Are you going to share that now?
Sure, I can do that. Let's just let me, you're not going to like me, Carrie, because I'm going to scroll up if you
That's
don't
all right.
mind.
You can scroll up and down. That's all good. I'll be seeing you.
I'm just going to be really quick. There's the old mine. That's the 300 meters that I'm talking about. So we were able to trace these structures
Okay.
on surface. So I'm going to just flip through here. This is what's important.
Okay.
This is what we call a cross section.
Yeah.
And this is what they mined when they first started. So you can see here where I've got my cursor. Hopefully you can see
Yes.
that.
Yep.
That's 359 grams over zero point 0.8 of a meter, 490 grams over zero point 0.8. So it was narrow veined, but very high grade. So our theory is this was the 300 meters. We said, well, does it continue along strike and does it go below the water table? I'm simplifying it, but that's
I
really
love it.
what we looked at. So this has been mined out.
Yep.
They've left fragments of it. It's been mined out, but we were like, okay, let's just test our theory and see, you know, if there is something there. And I don't know, Carrie, if you looked at our most recent press release, because we did drill 11 holes on the project, and we have results back from one so far. These were our drill areas here where we drilled. So we stayed along those structures that I talked about, and we went below the water table and obviously, outside of the 300 meters where the old mine sat.
And you've got one drill result back. Can you share that with us?
We've got one drill result back. It returned just a little over 1,100 grams of silver over 1.6 meters. So
Okay.
we go back to this, and you can see what they mined back in the day. We're hitting grades
It's
below
gone funny and small on me on my side. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We'll forgive him, won't we, ladies and gentlemen?
Is
There we
it
go.
this
That's
one?
better. Yep, that's better.
Okay, I want to go back to sorry, Carrie. I want to go back to this one.
Got it.
So it's a similar grade of what they mined back in the day, but now we know it's down here, our first
Okay.
drill hole.
Okay. So
So
is it difficult to get? Yeah, is it a rookie question? Is it difficult to drill below the water table?
no, no, not at all.
Okay. So
They just, they didn't do it back in the day. We ran some geophysics over the area, so we had targets identified, and yeah, there's no issue there. In fact, our first hole at a vertical depth was we started hitting mineralization at 125 meters vertical depth, so not that deep.
okay. And I know you said in the past, excuse me, the drill bit is what drives value. Because
Yes.
that's what I'm looking for my audience at the moment is, you know, would you consider that right now you're in the very early stages?
I would say we're early stages. I mean, we're not greenfields
No.
by any stretch of the imagination. We're a brownfields um, project. So, we drilled 11 holes. Really, what I'm trying to identify is, a long strike below depth, but also I want to see what the geology looks like because there was no record of it. Nobody knew that old mine that I showed you there, which am I still sharing or have I stopped?
You know, you're still sharing.
That was what we wanted. So I'm going to tell you we're in early stages. Our next drill program that we have planned is 17,000 meters.
When's that starting?
I'm going to tell you that it's not going to start. I have to raise money. I'm not going to
Okay.
tell you that I
Oh, I
don't.
do like that's good. I like your honesty.
Um,
So
we'll talk about the share structure and how I put it together. But we're
we
going
can
to have
stop
to raise some cash.
we can stop screen sharing now, I think, can't we? Unless
Okay.
there's one other one that you wanted to share, but let's
No, that's fine. We can stop. Did it stop?
no, not yet.
Okay. How do you stop it?
That I can't
That's a question.
because I can't do it on my end.
Okay, can't do it there.
Well, while he's looking,
How's that?
there we go. Let's talk capital structure then, because you said earlier on that you got this started by putting your own dollars, your own
That's
money
correct.
in.
So the company right now has 26 million shares outstanding,
Okay.
31 million shares fully diluted. We did a financing round at 15 cents, which myself and my family participated in.
When was that?
We
When was that, Scott?
That was in 2022,
Okay. Yep.
fall of 2022. Myself and my family, we own about 30% of the company. I then invited people like Jeff Phillips and whatnot to participate. So I did one round of $800,000 with them at 15 cents. That was with a group of 10 individuals. I then, the following year in 2023, I did a round at 25 cents Canadian with a
Mhm.
full warrant at 40 cents.
Okay. By the way,
And
ladies
then,
and gentlemen, a warrant is just an option here down here in Australia. Warrants option, same sort of thing. Yep.
okay. And then I did a $1 million round at 72 cents.
Oh wow, that's a big jump.
And that brings us to the 26 million shares outstanding. And the company has about $1 million in cash left. So we're very lean, Carrie. I've got a small team. And I believe in, when I say drill bit drives value, I like to spend money in the ground because that's where we get our biggest reward. And I think that's demonstrated in the stock right now, trading at $1.60 Canadian.
Fantastic. Well done you. I think that's great. What's your biggest challenge right now?
I
Probably
I,
raising the
I think
money.
yeah, well, no, but that's true. It's a question of getting the story out there and finding that, I think we're at an institutional level, Carrie, right now. If, you know, I don't think for a funder because we're looking at such a big program for us, 17 to 20,000 meters. That's a big program.
Is yeah.
Um, that's going to take institutional interest to really give me the funds to be able to do that. So, I think that's my biggest challenge.
What makes this project different from others that are out there? If you were talking to me as an investor and I say, yeah, well, I've got other projects in Mexico and other people talking gold and silver. Talk to me about why Scott, first of all, why you own 30% of the company and you put your own money into it. Why are you so confident that this is something that's better than others?
Well, it goes back to what I originally said was I identified this old mine, and there's an adage, and people will say, "Oh, Scott, you sound like a broken record," but the best place to find a mine is where there was a mine.
I agree. 100%.
Okay, so I went with that approach. And if your listeners, go back and you look at my press releases and you look what I've put out, you're going to see that I did a systematic approach. And the mapping, the sampling, everything was indicating that, when you're a kilometer away from an old mine and you're getting grades on surface that they mined, where did it come from?
Okay. Yeah.
So that gives me a level of confidence to say I'm prepared to, roll the dice, and that's what we do in this industry. We roll the dice, and I think for me, without having another junior that was in there, nobody had touched this. It sat idle for all those years
Wow.
in
Okay.
different forms. So that's why I'm excited about it, and
Okay.
the drill bit hopefully continues to deliver, and we'll see.
Okay, so we've talked about one project, but you've also, I think we've talked a lot about silver. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, silver's looking good at the moment. I want to find out what other projects where some more upside might be going forward because we don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to
Okay, I'll be real quick, Carrie. So there was a project in that 11 that I had reviewed that we identified. It was a bigger project. It's about 3 times the size of Las Coloradas
okay.
in terms of its size. It had two past producing mines. One of them was the richest mine in Mexico back in the late 1800s.
Okay.
I did the same approach that I did when I put Las Coloradas together. I started with one claim. I then started to acquire the claims around it to build the size. It's predominantly a gold project as opposed to silver. And why I can say that is, there was a number of operators in there, again, on all these claims, but Kennecott, Teck, Anglo American, Hemlo. Hemlo drilled 7 RC holes. Now, I don't have the core because it was RC, but I have the results, which again, you can see the structure on surface. We're in there right now sampling along it, and I'm taking the same approach that I did at Las Coloradas.
Okay.
We'll put it together. We're then going to go put a drill on it, and we're going to drill.
What's your inkling on this one? Is it close to surface? Is it a reasonable grade? What are we looking at?
So it's close to service. It's good grade for Mexico. The artisanal miners have been mining it until I got them off the project just recently.
Lord,
So
how did that
I
go,
would say,
Scott?
pardon me?
How did that go? Were they cranky? Bet they were.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're sitting there making a living and then, somebody comes along and says, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here. Why are you here?"
Does that
It's
worry you at
challenging.
all? Does
No, you know what? It's artisanal miners are everywhere, in Mexico especially. But no, they understood. We're a company. We're coming in there now. We control the land. So, it took time. I'm not going to say it didn't take time, but it did. So just to summarize, because you'd asked, this particular project, Almoloya, is a 1 to 2 million ounce. That's what we think could potentially be there. That's the target.
okay,
Whereas Las Coloradas is 200 million ounces of silver.
right.
And I say that because that's what you're on the back of an omelet. What could be here? I don't think any major company would want anything smaller than that. And I think for your listeners, what else is interesting is we're in the Parral district. We're outside of Parral. But operating in Parral is a company called GoGold, and they call their operation Parral. And they are reprocessing the tailings from the old La Preta mine that was in Parral. So they reprocess those tailings and they're producing gold, silver, lead, and zinc. And if
Okay.
you go back and you look at, the first drill hole that we put out, were rich in silver, lead, and zinc. So that is 40 kilometers from our site.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So again, when you talk to me about confidence and why, if we find something big enough, there's a company that's capable, that's got a permitted operating um, plant that could take this very easily.
Take it over or just take the ore? Like, what's
Well,
your
I talked to the president yesterday. I said, get ready. You may have another project to buy. And he laughed, but he's very capable. I think they're sitting right now with $180 million in cash. Um,
nice.
so they're in a good position. So I think, they're going to be watching us. I know they're watching us.
What's your market cap at the moment?
$40 million.
40
So
mil.
we're still, we're a small market cap.
Love it.
While we're $1.60, but we're a small market cap because of the 26 million shares out.
Yeah, it's a tight capital structure.
Yes.
And I assume you're going to keep it that way. Scott, I think it's really fascinating. You're in the right area. You've said that Mexico is open for business now, that the new regime, if you like, is much more mining friendly, if you like.
Well, yeah, what you're seeing is those offices start to open up now, and you're seeing them, processing paper,
Yeah,
whereas you didn't see that 3 years ago.
right.
So it gives me a lot of confidence to, spend my own money there.
I love the fact that you've got skin in the game. I really want you to come back and keep us up to date with how you're going with capital raisings and all that sort of stuff. Give us, if you like, wrap it up and give us 3 reasons people should sit up and take notice of Emerson Resources. Oh, sorry, Emerson. That's your last name.
Kingsman.
Kingsman.
I think,
Not
Terry,
there.
you gotta love silver. Number one, you gotta love silver. You gotta love the jurisdiction, Mexico. You have to look at, just 3 things. You got to look at district scale potential and the drill bit driving the value, because that's what I'm all about, is drilling.
And
So
I'm
there's
going
the
to,
4 things. I can give
yeah.
you a lot more, but those are 4.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you know that I always like to talk to people that have put their own money into what Scott said before, the drill bit. He's backing himself. I think that's really important. He's done it before, but he understands Mexico. He's been down there, but what he's creating is a district scale opportunity, which I also think is important. Somewhere, what he said before, where do you find a mine where there's been one before? So we'll look forward to having you back again. And I will look forward to seeing you in person at the New Orleans Investment Symposium, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's coming up pretty soon. It's at the beginning of November. Come on, Aussies. Let's all go over to New Orleans, and you'll be seeing people like Rick Rule, Brian London, Lobo Tigre, Mike Maloney. I mean, the lineup of speakers is insane. My good friend Jeff Phillips will be there. Of course, Scott will be there. So if you really want to get in front of some of the biggest, smartest people in the industry, then I'm going to put the link below, and I want to see lots of Aussies over there so that we can show the people in New Orleans just how great we are as well. But Scott, wonderful to chat to you, and I'll see you up there very soon.
Thanks, Carrie, and have a good conference yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.